Travis Wayne Goodsell. Facts about the Book of Mormon is not a he said, she said review. It doesn't matter what anybody says. Even Joseph Smith, it doesn't matter what he said about the Book of Mormon. They are not facts of the Book of Mormon. For facts, you've got to use the science. You've got to use scientific measurements, scientific processes for investigation. Otherwise, you're imposing a bias on your conclusion, and you are going to be wrong. And so, let's go over the actual facts of the Book of Mormon. The first one is a little bit tricky, and it has to do with how and why the Book of Mormon got started in the first place. Because Joseph Smith says it was angelic visits and Heavenly Father and Jesus visits, etc. We don't trust those. Again, no he said claims. But the facts are that Joseph Smith Sr. was a Master Mason of the York Rites, Freemasonry, in the lodge in Canandaigua, New York. At the exact same time that William Morgan was working on his books, given in advance by the Batavian Press. And he was getting falsely accused and locked up in jail so that he couldn't finish the book. The book that was published in William Morgan's name, which was not his book, Illustrations of Masonry, that tells us the duties and responsibilities of a Master Mason, that he is to care for his brethren and protect them and make sure that they're taken care of. And so William Morgan's being snuck out of the country would have been under the control of the Master Mason of the lodge in Canandaigua, which was Joseph Smith Sr. And so he would have been in charge of finishing the book. We are not concluding that that's the Book of Mormon, though I have with all of the other research that ties into it. But those are the facts. They were together in Canandaigua, New York, and the disappearance of William Morgan is tied to the duties and responsibilities of Joseph Smith Sr. as the Master Mason. Okay? Fact. Analyzing the Book of Mormon scientifically, there are dozens, and we're talking over 3 dozen, just so that you get an idea, contemporary books contained within the Book of Mormon. And again, don't draw conclusions. Those are the facts. Dozens of contemporary books. I even contributed to the list utilizing Jewish mystical writings included in the works. Then, the field of science called linguistics tells us Sidney Rigdon is the major author. We're not drawing any conclusions. We're not throwing in, yeah, but he was not baptized until December 1830. We're just looking at the facts. And the fact is, he's the major author of the Book of Mormon. Don't draw any conclusions yet. There's also linguistic evidence of Parley P. Pratt and Oliver Cowdery. And so, again, don't draw any conclusions. But Oliver Cowdery did according to the he said claims, was part of the composition of the Book of Mormon to finish it up right there at the end after Martin Harris blew it and the trial or the probationary period of Junior was over with. And so first the facts, then you can see how the he saids fit into the picture. You don't force the he saids to conform the science. The science conforms the he saids. And then the 116 pages, they couldn't identify an author for the rewritten pages which became known as 1st and 2nd Nephi. Alright, let's try again. The Tree of Life portion, however, does show the linguistic pattern of Joseph Smith Sr. But it's through Lucy Mack when she put it in her book, her autobiography or whatever, and she's referring back to her husband's dreams, talking about them and telling them in the story she's telling, and they just happen to correspond with the Tree of Life portion in the 116 missing pages rewritten. And so it's an after the fact connection, and so there needs to be more support that's more concrete, more science based, because this is more of a she said, but yeah, there is more of a connection. But for the moment, no conclusions. And then you've got the dilemma with Harmony, Pennsylvania, as to establish where Joseph was when he was doing. It needs its own investigation to combine together, and that's what I've noticed, is that every little segment is a separate piece of the puzzle that needs to be figured out, corrected, and put together. And so not concerning ourselves with the location of Harmony, Joseph Smith does a he said, but the he said has some bearing for factual information. He says that he was copying characters from the plates. And we're not going to draw conclusions. We're not going to conclude that it was the missing manuscripts or the incomplete manuscripts that went missing of William Morgan, that he was copying them down. But he apparently was able to get a hold of Martin Harris and convince him to pay for the book, but Martin Harris insisted on being part of it, wanting to see them, which was a good thing. You don't want to do work for somebody and pay them for it if they're making a claim that they never want to show you. However, Joseph Smith had previously worked for him on the farm. That's a fact. Joseph Smith dug a well on that farm. That's a fact. Joseph Smith found rocks in the well. That's a fact. Joseph Smith used those rocks to play his little rock and a hat game. Fact. And so the he said of Martin Harris, that Joseph Smith translated the Book of Mormon with the rocks and a hat, you can see how that conclusion can't be trusted, but the facts that Joseph Smith had the rocks and a hat confirmed. That he was using it to find missing things and such? Fact. Alright, and so then they work on the manuscript that he had copied and is telling it to Martin Harris, which is something that is not mentioned, because why is he copying off the characters, and we all assume that it's therefore the Anton transcript, and that was a separate thing that Joseph Smith did. But some factual historical information about the 116 pages that end up going missing involve the death of Joseph and Emma's firstborn son, and the fact that they went to Emma's Methodist church for consolement, and the fact that they rejected him, and thus her parents, because Joseph was a glass looker, adds a fact, on 20th of March 1826, and misdemeanor charge of $2.68. Facts. And so we can now see that the claim by Joseph Smith that he was told not to touch the Urim and Thummim until it was time to get the plates. Oops. He was playing around with the Urim and Thummim in March of 1826 and got in trouble with the law. See? Moroni, which factually is Nephi from the Joseph Smith papers. That's the original document. The original person. But that's, again, another investigation that needs to be performed as to who is the character, what is the character's name, and so forth. And I've done that video. I've included it in other videos, too. And okay, so Martin Harris, going over the notes here. Martin Harris knew of Joseph because he worked for him, knew about the rocks in the hat. And Martin Harris, during this time of turmoil, which is not talked about in Section 3 of the Doctrine and Covenants, as the reasoning for giving up the manuscript to Martin Harris, who was called the evil man, not his wife getting in trouble. That's a later story that I had found of, again, blaming women for what the men do. But Martin Harris was a member of the Anti-Mason Committee in Palmyra. And so his taking of the manuscript back to Palmyra and Joseph being put on probation for a year because of the loss, again, those are the facts. No conclusion. So whether he was translating, it's clear he wasn't, because the facts say he didn't have anything to do with the composition. So yeah, none of that was mentioned. None of the real history is mentioned in Joseph Smith's 1838 history. And yeah, I never brought it up in that other one. I just covered the 1838, the 5 views of the angelic visit to Joseph Smith. because there are others. And when you understand who Nephi is representing, then you understand why he was talking to another person, telling that person it was Jesus, rather than Moroni, Nephi. So I hope you guys are able to put the pieces together with the other versions, so to speak. And that's why they're different. He's speaking to different people. If you're going to speak to a Jew, you speak in their manner of understanding. If you're speaking to a Christian, you're going to speak in their manner of understanding. If you're going to speak to an atheist, you got to speak to his manner of understanding. And unfortunately, Mormons don't catch on to that, as they think that they're the one true church with Jesus Christ as being real and literal. They therefore impose Jesus. Oh, Jesus, just join the church, believe in Jesus and pray, and he'll fix everything. He'll fix it all. No, don't do that. You're being a racist bigot when you do that. You gotta meet people on common ground. And if they want to understand your views, then you can tell them your views. But you don't impose your views onto other people. And that's the problem, where you don't use the facts. Because the facts have to be imposed on Mormons. Mormons are lying by imposing their views about the Book of Mormon as a literal history. And they need to stop. Because the scientific facts is that it's not literal history. It's got contemporary publications in it, and the linguistics show that Sidney Rigdon's the major author, with Parley P. Pratt and Oliver Cowdery also involved. And as I can include, because I've done the other research for it, Joseph Smith Sr. is the major author of rewritten 116 pages. That's why Junior was put on hiatus, away from Martin Harris, so that they could keep a low profile, and then they went back to Martin Harris to check and see if the coast was clear, because you can't proceed if the coast isn't clear, if they're now looking for you. So that anti-Mason movement came because of William Morgan's disappearance, by the way. And even though the Smiths are innocent, they saved his life and took on the responsibility to finish the book. They can't let anybody know about it. But again, I'm jumping the gun on you guys. We're just sticking with the facts. And so then we go to the Book of Mormon itself and see what it says. And it says it's written in the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians. And so none of that is Jesus, but Jesus is in the book by name. But yet it says at the beginning, 1 Nephi chapter 1 verse 2, it's the learning of the Jews. That's the manner in which it is written. And then there's also, I was supposed to look this up before. Should be easy to find. As there is only one. In 2 Nephi chapter 25. Let's see, talking about Isaiah. And then down, he talks about Isaiah being written in the manner of prophesying among the Jews, and that it's hard for Jews to understand, and that the manner of the Jews is corrupt and evil, and so he doesn't teach the people the manner of the Jews. But then he says down in verse 4, He then talks about giving prophecy himself and prophesy in plainness. Delighteth in plainness that come out of Jerusalem with my Father. So, yeah, he's talking about prophesying in his writings. But I give unto you a prophecy according to the Spirit which is in me, wherefore I shall prophesy according to the plainness. So he's not telling literal history, is he? The Book of Mormon is not literal history. It says so itself. It's written in the learning of the Jews after the manner of prophesying among the Jews, similar to Isaiah. That's why Isaiah is copied. Errors and all. And so, from here, this is where you start. You take all of these facts and you put them together to develop a theory about how to explain the anomalies. And so now you know it's not literal history. It's not an ancient record. There's something else going on. And that's what you need to develop the theory and test for. And this is how I've been doing it and been sharing with you my little video segments every now and then, which means you've got to put all my video segments together. And so, hope that helps you, because church will never tell you the truth. They're purposely trying to destroy the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith when they destroy Christianity and the United States government. So it's coming soon because you guys missed the Exodus, and therefore I'm here